Welcome guys to another day of After Hours with Valdes and Wolf. We're going to be talking about playoff round 2 for SSL Premier. This will be Dark, who just defeated Deer 4-2 today, up against Classic, who has been waiting for his opponent. I think this one is going to be a little bit closer, maybe even more close than the 4-2 victory tonight.
You would think so based on results, right? When you look at Classic's performance, it was much more consistent than Deer's. He has a very direct play style. He's always placed higher than Deer in SSL. He's an SSL champion himself. So is Dark, though. So it's two SSL champions facing off against each other, trying to face off against Stats, who's an SSL finalist, of course. For me, I think that the difference in styles between Classic and Deer are very pronounced. Classic plays a very slow, methodical game towards his third base. The way he plays Newkirk is very much more passive than we saw Deer play Newkirk. Takes a fourth base, but I think that this actually plays into Dark's playstyle very well because he likes to be aggressive, tries to punish those early bases. If he's left to his own devices, if he's left to build up his army off of the 3 bases he has, take a fourth, do a Baneling Hydra attack, I think that's very strong against Classic's playstyle.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I mean, Dark was even talking about it in the interview tonight where he felt like Deer was the strongest opponent that he had to face in total. So it's going to be interesting to see what his style is like up against Classic and Stats. I would have to agree with you. And with Dark, I think that his style definitely can be a bit of a counter towards Classic and Stats. Even if Classic wants to throw it back to that triple Stargate that he's used from time to time and wants to play a really interesting style against Dark, I think Dark can read it. He's so good in best of 7 series. And the more I talk about this, the more I feel like Dark is actually the favorite.
Yeah,
I mean, one against Classic.
For me, I always thought if if Dark advances to face Classic, he would be the favorite. But I even feel so more so after talking to a few fans after the match, saying, of course, Dark's going to win this one. Dark in his interview saying it feels like the worst is behind him in terms of the pro losses that he would have to face to win this series, to win this gauntlet, and win the tournament. So when you look at how Dark prepared for this series, the flexibility he showed, and Classic's more rigid style going into the second one, I think you do have to give the edge to Dark. However, we do have to mention too that Classic was able to study these matches. He's not going to get caught off guard by Swarm Hosts or Roach timing attacks like Deer did. I think Dark did get forced to play some of his builds he wanted to hide going into the next 2 best of 7s today, so Classic does have that edge.
Classic's a very smart guy. I think that's a very valid point that you bring up, that he has so much time to read into Dark and his play style against Protoss.
I think the most important map is actually going to be Newkirk Precinct. I'm assuming that we'll see it based on Classic's preference for the map in the past. If Classic can do his style, because it's also a map where Dark has shown really good ZVP on, just punishing plays like what Classic has shown on that map, I think how that map goes will tell the bigger story of the entire best of 7, because that just feels like a strength for Dark with this playstyle against Classic's playstyle on the map. So when those two kind of collide, I think it's going to tell a bigger story.
Yeah, so let's do some predictions for this one then. It seems like both you and I are on the Dark favored side. I'll let you go first, as you are the recent victor with the 4-2 win of Dark over Deer. What do you think about Dark?
This is a tough one. I think I want to go with a 4-1 for Dark this time. I think Dark will take a more confident series. I think his playstyle is strong against Classics. And Classic will have to adapt, which means he won't be playing what he's comfortable with if he wants to change up his playstyle.
Yeah. I think I'll go with a 4-2 this time. We're going to kind of
switch, yeah.
We're going to switch sides on this one. I think Classic, he's a solid enough player to take 2 games to the point where he's not going to fall apart like a house of cards like Deer would. He's not really going to lose his mentality. He's a strong enough player. I think he will take 2 games. Dark's still the favorite, though, in my mind, for this matchup.